Welcome to our YouTube channel, where we embark on a journey through the realms of knowledge, creativity, and entertainment. Here, you'll find a diverse range of content carefully crafted to engage, inform, and inspire you. Whether you're a curious learner seeking in-depth insights, a passionate enthusiast exploring new hobbies, or simply looking for a dose of entertainment and inspiration, our channel has something for everyone. Join us as we dive into the fascinating worlds of science, art, technology, and more. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be part of our vibrant community. Together, we'll explore the wonders of the digital realm and discover the endless possibilities that await. Welcome aboard, and let's embark on this exciting journey together. The Haunting of Blackwood House, a tale of unearthly dread. In the quiet town of Willowbrook, nestled deep within the dense woods of upstate New York, there was a legend that sent shivers down the spines of its residents. They whispered about a dilapidated mansion on the outskirts of town, a place they called the Blackwood House. It stood there, hidden among the ancient trees, its dark silhouette a constant reminder of the unspeakable horrors that had once unfolded within its walls. And every year, as the leaves turned crimson and the air grew chill, the legend of the Blackwood House would resurface, casting a pall of dread over the town. The tale began more than a century ago, when the Blackwood family first took residence in the mansion. They were reclusive, seldom seen by the townsfolk, and their history was shrouded in mystery. Rumours circulated that they had made a pact with the dark forces of the forest, trading their humanity for otherworldly powers. It was said that their bloodline was cursed, and anyone who ventured too close to the mansion would be forever tainted by the malevolent spirits that dwelled there. As the years passed, the Blackwoods became even more reclusive, rarely leaving the mansion's shadowy confines. But the townsfolk claimed to hear eerie sounds emanating from the house, mournful cries and anguished whispers that chilled the blood. Some even reported seeing strange lights flickering in the mansion's windows, despite the fact that the electricity had long been disconnected. And then, there were the disappearances. People who had ventured too close to the mansion and were never seen again. One brisk autumn evening, a group of teenagers decided to test the legend of the Blackwood House. Among them was Sarah, a fearless girl with long dark hair and a curiosity that bordered on recklessness. She had grown up hearing the stories and had always been intrigued by the enigmatic mansion. That night, armed with flashlights and an air of bravado, they set out into the woods, determined to uncover the truth. The closer they got to the mansion, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. The trees seemed to close in around them, casting long, gnarled shadows that danced in the moonlight. The air grew heavy with an otherworldly stillness, and a sense of foreboding settled over the group. As they approached the mansion, its crumbling facade loomed like a malevolent spectre. The windows were shattered, and ivy had overtaken the walls. The front door creaked open with an eerie, mournful groan, inviting them in with an almost unnatural force. The interior of the Blackwood House was a nightmarish maze of decay and darkness. Cobwebs hung from every corner, and the walls were adorned with faded portraits of long-forgotten Blackwood ancestors. The air was thick with an earthy, musty odour, and the floorboards creaked beneath their feet, as if whispering secrets of the past. As they ventured deeper into the mansion, they began to hear the faint echoes of distant voices, a chorus of anguished cries that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. Their flashlights flickered and sputtered, casting eerie, shifting shadows that played tricks on their minds. Suddenly, Sarah froze in her tracks, her heart pounding in her chest. She had heard something, a soft, mournful wail that sent shivers down her spine. The others turned to look at her, their faces pale with fear. "We should leave," one of the boys stammered, his voice trembling, but Sarah, driven by her insatiable curiosity, insisted on pressing forward. She led them through a series of winding corridors, each more unsettling than the last. Finally, they came upon a door that seemed to radiate an unnatural malevolence. It was adorned with intricate carvings of twisted trees and writhing, grotesque figures. With trembling hands, Sarah pushed the door open, revealing a room bathed in an eerie, sickly green light. In the centre of the room, a large, ornate mirror stood, its surface marred by cracks and fissures. As they approached the mirror, their reflections began to distort, contorting into grotesque, nightmarish forms. And then, from the depths of the mirror, a voice whispered, a voice that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the earth itself. It spoke of ancient curses and long-forgotten sins, of a family that had traded their souls for power, and of the darkness that had consumed them. The room seemed to close in around them, and the air grew suffocatingly thick. Desperate to escape, they turned to leave, but the door had vanished, leaving them trapped in the nightmarish room. Hours turned into days as they wandered the labyrinthine corridors of the Blackwood house, their minds slowly unraveling. They were tormented by visions of their worst fears, their bodies racked with pain. They heard the voices of the long-lost Blackwood family, their anguished cries echoing in their ears. And then, one by one, they began to disappear, consumed by the malevolent spirits that dwelled within the mansion's walls. Sarah was the last to go, her once fearless spirit broken by the horrors she had witnessed. As the years passed, the legend of the Blackwood house grew even darker, a cautionary tale that sent chills down the spines of anyone who dared to speak its name. The mansion itself remained hidden among the ancient trees, its secrets locked away in its decaying walls. And in the quiet town of Willowbrook, the memory of those brave teenagers who had ventured into the darkness of the Blackwood house slowly faded, a haunting reminder of the malevolent forces that lurked just beyond the edge of their reality. The Obsidian Shadows. In the small picturesque town of Silverwood, nestled amidst the rolling hills and dense forests, there was an unsettling sense of tranquility that seemed almost too perfect to be real. The townsfolk went about their lives, unaware of the darkness that lurked just beyond their peaceful existence. It was a darkness that Emily had come to know all too well. Emily was an artist, a woman, with a penchant for capturing the beauty of nature on her canvas. She had moved to Silverwood seeking solitude and inspiration, and she had found both in abundance. Her cottage, surrounded by ancient trees and bathed in the soft glow of moonlight, was her sanctuary. But lately, something had changed. Emily had begun to notice subtle signs that left her with a lingering sense of unease. At first, it was just a feeling, a nagging suspicion that she was being watched. She dismissed it as paranoia, blaming it on the isolation of her remote cottage. One crisp autumn evening, as Emily worked on her latest painting, the unease that had been gnawing at her suddenly intensified. She felt a presence, a shadowy figure lurking just beyond the window. She froze, her heart pounding in her chest, and slowly turned her head to look outside. There, among the trees, she saw him, a man shrouded in darkness, his features obscured by the inky night. He stood perfectly still, watching her with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. She could feel his eyes boring into her, his gaze unwavering. With trembling hands, Emily reached for her phone and dialed 911, but when she looked back out the window, the man was gone. The police arrived quickly, but there was no sign of the mysterious figure. They assured Emily that they would keep an eye on her cottage, but there was little else they could do. That night, Emily locked all the doors and windows, but sleep eluded her. She lay in bed, her mind racing with fear and confusion. Who was the man, and what did he want with her? She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being hunted, that her peaceful existence had been shattered. In the days that followed, Emily's life unraveled. She became hyper-vigilant, constantly scanning her surroundings for any sign of the stalker. She rarely left her cottage, and when she did, she felt as if she was being followed. Her once vibrant artwork grew dark and twisted, reflecting the fear that had taken hold of her. As weeks turned into months, Emily's isolation deepened. She stopped answering her phone and avoided contact with friends and family. Her world had narrowed to the four walls of her cottage, and the constant fear had left her a hollow shell of her former self. Then, one fateful night, the stalker returned. Emily awoke to the sound of heavy breathing in the darkness of her bedroom. She turned on the bedside lamp, her heart in her throat, and there he was, the man from the woods, standing at the foot of her bed. Tears streamed down Emily's face as she screamed, but the man remained silent, his eyes locked onto hers. In his hand, he held a knife, gleaming in the dim light. Emily knew that this was the moment she had feared all along, the moment when her life hung in the balance. With a surge of adrenaline, Emily leapt out of bed and ran for the door, but the stalker was quick to pursue her. She could hear his footsteps behind her, his breath hot on her neck. She burst through the front door and into the moonlit night, sprinting through the forest with all the strength she could muster. The stalker was relentless, closing in on her with each passing moment. Emily's breath came in ragged gasps, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew that she couldn't outrun him forever, but she refused to give in to the terror that threatened to consume her. As she stumbled through the darkness, Emily spotted a dilapidated cabin in the distance. With the last of her strength, she reached the cabin and slammed the door shut behind her, panting and sobbing. Inside the cabin, Emily found a small, dusty room, and she barricaded herself in, her heart still racing. Through a crack in the door, she could see the stalker's silhouette approaching, his knife glinting in the moonlight. But as he reached the cabin, he suddenly froze, his head turning as if listening to something Emily couldn't hear. Without a word, he turned and disappeared into the night, leaving her trembling and alone. The police arrived shortly thereafter, and they searched the area but found no trace of the stalker. Emily's ordeal was over, but the scars would remain with her for the rest of her life. As the days turned into weeks, Emily slowly began to rebuild her life. She moved away from Silverwood, leaving behind the cottage and the haunting memories that had plagued her. She found solace in a new town, surrounded by friends and loved ones who helped her heal. But deep down, Emily knew that the darkness of that night would never truly leave her. The memory of the stalker, the man who had haunted her every waking moment, would forever linger in the shadows, a chilling reminder of the horrors that could lurk just beyond the edge of one's peaceful existence. Thanks for watching. To support us, please like and subscribe.